I feel like, I feel like it's home, you know. Many times I walk this road, every day, pretty much. And on my bike and whatever. And it's just home, you know. I know the people. They don't know me, but I know them. Because I've been gone for so long, they don't know who I am. But this was our property here. The old place where I was raised. It's grown up now. That is the pig pen. That's the meat house. That's the smokehouse. That's the chicken coop. It wasn't but 4 rooms. 2 rooms upstairs, 2 rooms downstairs. Yeah, this is it. That's the pig pen back there. Because the people trash. And that's where we kept all our meat, potatoes, and stuff in the basement. You know, it's not hard to figure out who what belongs to what. I don't have anything coming from here. You know, that's the old maple tree that we heated by for 50 or so years. That old tree there, that's a maple, what they call a swamp maple. Pop used to go up there and cut the limbs off of it. As big as you are, every year. That's how fast it grows. He'd cut it off one year and we'd stack it and whatever, and then as for next year's wood, you know, we had enough for this year.
Right.
As for next year's wood, so it would dry out.
Yeah.
And that's what we heated by until we got enough money to buy some coal. Now you can imagine now, you had us, you had a family that lived out there where I live at now, and the family I showed you back there when I told you that was the next black family. Okay, that was it. Coming this way, as far as kids to go to school. And there weren't that many black. We had to walk the 2 miles up there. Winter, snow, blow. They didn't close school for bad weather, and believe me, you have intense weather here. And because you walk for 10 hours a day, you know, hell, I was like 10 years old. And I didn't have legs enough to pump up that hills. So I know I wanted the best I could get for what I could get free, because wasn't nothing else promised to me, you know. And so I said, well, if I can go there, I'll at least get the best I can get for as far as I can get, because the rest, I know it can't happen. I came in here in '58. This is the school right here. This is the hellhole. The only difference is we didn't have a ball field. Remembering how many days that I had to come up here in fear of my life, try to get an education, and wondering what new trick they had for me today. You know, when you walk into a school, a new environment, when I came into this school, they had just built it. Nobody had ever used this school before, and it was a brand new school. So they were really offended that a black showed up. The principal, Eisman, told me when I explained to him why I was there and what I expected or what I wanted was to know what class to report to. I knew he already had my paperwork. So he came to the counter and he looked at me. He said, "Nigga, why don't you go back over your own school where you belong? We don't want you here."
One time he went to the principal's office and he didn't know where his classroom was, and the principal just said, "Go sit down over there, nigger."
And I sat there from like, I don't know what time he got here, 7:30 or whatever, till about 10, 11 o'clock. He's sitting back behind the counter reading the paper. And finally he got up and came to told me to report to classroom so-and-so, And I said, could you tell me where that is? He said, it's your class, you figure it out.
He said that when he started going to the white school, they could not leave the house unattended. Somebody had to be there at all times because people didn't like it. I mean, that was in the 60s.
I didn't realize he was, one of the first blacks there. He paved the way for pretty much all of us that are here as Greens. If it wasn't for him, there would probably be no us.
I think of all that stuff now, if I knew it back then, I think if I knew what I knew now, I think I would have took school a lot seriously when I was in school. I was just going. I was just going.
I kind of feel bad because now, like, there's really nothing. Like, something might happen once a year, but that happened to him every day. Like, when he was learning a subject, he couldn't really focus because something was being said to him.
They never talked to you. The teachers never talked to you. They talked to the class. They made a point of that. You were just there. They'd always get the smallest guy they could find to come up and insult you, hoping that you would maybe tag him or whatever, to try and start a fight or whatever so they could kick you out. That's all they wanted, was you out. And they did everything they could possibly do to get you out. And you had to be smart enough not to go for the okie doke. You just grit your teeth and bear it. The nigger, scumbag, scab, jigaboo, burrhead, nigger, number uno. And those are right off the top.
They used to call him all different kinds of names, and one day he forgot his own name.
Nigger number one, burrhead, scab, jigaboo, those are right off the top, those like every day. Of course, you question it and say, why are you so mean? And my mom's explained it to me. He said, well, most of those that would give you trouble are poor people. Now they got something they can put down. That's me, And as Mom and Pop always told me, you know who you are, and you know what you are, and you know what your name is. You don't forget them. You learn how to deal with them. You learn how to get through them. And so you don't let it hang on you, make you a very bitter person. There's nothing worse than carrying hate. There's nothing heavier than hate. As much as they hated me, I didn't hate them. I didn't hate them.
He was 99% right. So if he told me something, I learned you really need to sit back, stop, and listen to what he has to say, and look at it from his point of view, because he just has such a wealth of knowledge.
He didn't say a lot, I think. It's because he's the type of person is, let me do what I got to do, and I'll move on.
After maybe about a year or so, whatever, they would speak if they saw me, but wasn't that many. It's like one or two. But those were people that had something. The ones that didn't have anything, they wouldn't dare, because that's making them feel lower, or to my class, my level, which they figured was a lower class. And you just ignored them because they were ignorant. They didn't know no better. So you just took it with a grain of salt. That's what you got. That's a dog, that's a cat. That's the dog, And you knew this. And but you also let them know that anything they did, there was going to be some definite repercussions, And so you got past that. You don't have to speak to me. And as long as you don't touch me, we cool. Scab, jigaboo, nigger, of course. And, but those are the main ones. Burrhead, because you have kinky hair, But that was an everyday thing. All day, every day, you heard that. If not right up front, it was over there in the corner. Here come that jigaboo, There goes Burrhead, They'd always make sure you could hear it. And I just look at him and walk on by my business. You ain't talking to me, and catch him later. in the bathroom or in gym class. If he wasn't in gym class with me, it was a bathroom deal. Because in gym class, you just called me a nigga this morning. And you think I done forgot about it by 10 o'clock? That's gym class. You know, ain't nothing worse than a shoestring tackle. You know, you run it, we both run it. Clip. So you break them up that way. And you keep banging them until they wouldn't say nothing. You know, you can't say, well, he did this. Look, you was playing football. He's on your side. He didn't do that on purpose. Yes, I did. I'd run up their back. You know, I felt like as far as going there and accomplishing what I wanted, which was to get the best education I could for the area I was in, yes, I felt like I did that. I learned what they learned. I also learned more about them than I ever did because they were more forceful and more open with their expression. And it taught me, not that I didn't know about white people, because that's all what lived around me, but intimately getting to know him, which gave me a heads up on going out in the world and dealing, because basically 9 out of 10, that's what you have to deal with is white people. From where I came from, that's what I had to deal with. Only I'm up on it because I know what they know, and I know how they think, and that was the biggest part of it.
He was very insightful. He knew how to read people. He was, you know, he really, really taught me a lot about how to get along with others. And that not everybody is your friend, and you have to be careful at times because they might smile in your face but then stab you in the back.
He's really strong and brave to do what he did. And it's like he could have went to an all-black school and learned. Like he probably didn't learn as much as he did in the white school, but he learned, and he chose to go in the white school and learn more and like get a good job instead of being like the rest of being like everyone else.
When I finished, I got my diploma. When I got my diploma, I got Greyhound, and I got out of here. When I rode through town on a Greyhound bus, they were still marching up and down the street saying, "We're not marching with no niggas," with their little signs walking up and down the street. And I'm on the bus with a big basket of chicken and pork chops, and biscuits, and a couple sodas. I'm out of here. I don't care what you do. I got my diploma. I'm out of here. I felt like I got the best I could get for the time. And it did me good, because like when I got to Connecticut, I didn't, looking for a job, I left here with $40. It took me 15 to get there. I had $10 to spend and 15 to get back if I didn't find a job before that. Okay? That's how I left about here. And a big basket of chicken and pork chops. But anyway, I went to my sister's because she graduated from Central Connecticut State College. So I stayed with her. She had just gotten married. They had a little apartment, whatever, so I stayed with her. And I walked for 3 days before I found a job. I went to every place in town. Of course, I'm walking. I don't have any transportation. I walked for 3 days. I went to Stanley Works, Fafner, all the big companies around, and small places too. And I went in this grocery store, or it was a J.M. Fields department store. And it's kind of like Walmart, whatever. And I got a job as a receiving clerk. That was my first job up there. $1.10 an hour, so it was like $45 a week. You couldn't put more than $1 around here. You know, I was making 10 cents more than my father. He worked at the job for 20 years, you know, my first outing. And I worked there for like a year, about a couple years. And they transferred me to East Hartford, to another one. Same company, same store. And I kept hearing about Pratt & Whitney. And so about how much money they paid more than anybody else, you know, and I'm thinking. So I said, one day I went over there at lunchtime, and I got hired. But they hired me on third shift, working from 12 to 7. And so I kept the other job that I had during working the day. Because don't forget now, I don't have no backup. You know, and I got to take care of myself. Okay? I'm 17 years old. It's not like I can jump on the phone and call and have them wire me $100 or something. You know, I'm on my own. So, and I stayed with my sister. So I worked for my 2 weeks till I got paid. When I got paid, I got that Greyhound back, got my car, and went back. You know, I'm set then.
When he went to Pratt and Whitney in Middletown, he made foreman. And at that time, I think there might have been one other foreman in East Hartford. But I think he was the first black in Middletown. And he had challenges, but like I said, he was prepared because he knew what to expect.
Of course, news travels fast. And I was always the question on everybody's tongue 24/7 because I was something new they had never seen before or heard of. Okay, a black foreman in here, you know.
Before he became foreman, he knew that in order for him to better himself and the family, that he had to make more money. And to make more money, he had to learn all the skills in the area that he was working. For us, you know how they say you always have to be 10 times better from working at small companies. When he first moved here, he was all around machinist. So when he got the foreman's job, he knew how to run probably everything that was in the shop.
These parts are worth $150,000, $200,000, $300,000. You just don't screw up one of them, and with no repercussions. You know, I said, so if he was to get sick, no problem. You can do the job. He can do the job. He can do the job. I got 9 to 10 people can do that same job, and every job in there, you know. And in doing that, I had probably the best crew they had, and I could, in my mistakes or their mistakes, I always managed to know how to get out of them or fix them. Then he kind of makes it your job. I don't even work in the department. Yet you got parts sitting around with hole for Rosie, hole for Rosie, hole for Rosie, in 3 or 4 different departments. I don't work in those departments. I have nothing to do with the product from that department. They're totally different parts. But they knew I knew how to fix it or had somebody could fix it, you know. So they didn't want to write up a quality review and throw it at the crib. They put a tag on it. When Rosie gets to it, he'll fix it for me. And after a while, I got seeing all them signs around hole for Rosie, hole for Rosie. I said, hey, this ain't right. This ain't right. I got to get off of this shift one way or the other. And I kept asking, and nobody could say anything. So I told the superintendent, I said, hey, you know, I feel kind of bad taking orders from somebody that I've got to help. You know, I said, do me a favor. I said, just walk through the building. I said, see how many parts you see around here with hole for Rosie on them. I said, I'm fixing all these other dudes' stuff because they don't know how, and they're telling me what to do. I said, that ain't right.
They don't want you in that position, so they were always trying to pull tricks on you, I guess I can say, where you did this part and it's wrong. But then he started initialing his parts. So when they would turn it over and he said, this is not my part because it doesn't have my initials on it. So, you know, those types of things that he went through. But he has a large enough mouth that they will not mess with him for long.
And I was playing the game. And so he asked me, he says, well, why can't you do this? I said, well, I really don't have any initiative to do any better because for what? I'm not going to do anything else other than what I'm doing here. I said, he said, what do you mean? I said, you look around and you tell me you see anything doing any higher class job than what I've got that look like this.
In life, you're going to have challenges, and you just can't sit back and say, they are messing with me and I'm not going to do this job anymore. You have to learn somebody first, learn their ways, and then you can work around their ways, or you can work with their ways.
He thought about it for a minute. He turned all red. He never thought about it. If I'm good enough to take care of all them parts, and I don't even produce those parts, if I'm good enough to fix all them parts, nobody in here should be telling me jack squat, you know. So that's how I got to be lead supervisor. And that's where I left. You know what? These guys around me on my level, they were dropping like flies. I mean, at 45, 40 years old, 48 years old, 50, 55, they all got pacemakers, you know, they having strokes, all kinds of stuff from the pressure from the job, because it was a heavy-duty pressure job. So I said to myself, I can't see myself going out like that. So I said, I'll tell you what, the next time they give one of these golden handshakes, where they give you a package to leave, I said, I'm out of here. I'd be better off flipping hamburgers at McDonald's than stressing myself out here. So they finally came around with a package. They sent everybody a package but me. Everybody in the place that was 50 years old, they got a package, but I didn't get one. So I raised hell around there for a while. And with that package, they paid it all. So I was making probably about $300 a pay period more than I was when I was working. I signed up and took it, and 50, I was out of there. They told me I was crazy. I said, well, maybe I am. I said, but then you always thought I was anyway. Judy and I had already talked about, you know, she wanted to move back to Carolina, and I wanted to move back here and whatever. And we wanted to build a house. Well, why would I build a house here? What am I going to do with this one? We're in Myerstown at my home, which my father left me. This is not where I was raised. I helped my father build this back in like 69, something like that.
Yeah, his father made the house from scratch, and that a nail got in his eye, so he was half blind, and he still built it, which was, you know, fun to learn. The house is good, it's still in good condition. You know, we have to repair it some, but I like it.
He restored the house next door over there, and he bought, that was the only structure on the place, was that house. And he built all the rest of this, about 69 or so.
He was blind in one eye, and I don't think he could see very well in his other eye, but he knew where everything in that house was. He knew if you touched and moved something, and I would just test him all the time. I sit in his chair, I might move his ashtray just a little bit, and then get up and leave and see, and he would come and sit down, who's been in my chair? Like he just knew everything.
He used to cut the grass. He was blind then. But he'd come out here and cut this grass. And this hill and all, he cut this, he'd go down the trees, he could feel the end of the trees. And he was blind. He'd go down and he had a rope on a lawnmower. And he'd take the rope, unwind it, and lower the lawnmower down the hill. And pull it back up, move it over, roll it back down. He could feel it when it stopped. Pull it back up, move over. On this hill here, All right, that's a steep daggone hill. It's about 6 feet. You get to start at the end of those trees, and he worked that all the way down the grader, and he cut the rest of it. And he did that for, God, it must have been about 10, 15 years after he was blind, totally blind. He couldn't see squat. And right there was that's the driveway, and there was the house. There was my friends, my best friend. And there's the outhouse back there. Because mine is over there.
I can remember one time going with Judy late at night, and we were going over the dips, and then we just like plopped up and down the dips, and I thought, really? Another thing that was scary, I used to say, I'm such a city girl. After going to the country, I would say, I'm such a city girl. There's no way. And I can remember Wayne many nights would be like, you know, just get me to West Virginia, bury me in West Virginia. I was like, I'll bury you in West Virginia and leave you there, because I don't want to be there.
Bugs, old beds, twin beds, sheets that were little that needed to be changed. But it was nice. It was in good shape for, you know, someone that made it by scratch. And I just don't like the bugs.
We would go often. I think we traveled on a monthly basis between Connecticut, West Virginia, and North Carolina.
Looking back now, now that I'm older, I look back as a kid, I definitely see myself. It definitely was a relationship, I think, or pairing, you know, that was not the norm. You know, people would see us around town. Everywhere they went, I was with them. Now I can look back and reflect on it thinking, what did people around us think? I'm sure they was wondering, well, who is this white guy always around, you know? Yeah, I was never a very religious person, but, you know, we'd go to the church right across the street here. Until I went to North Carolina and saw this little church. It was like this little small church, but it was so much fun. There's so much passion involved and excitement and energy in the church. I actually looked forward to going to it. You know, it really is like a small church, like a little wooden schoolhouse kind of church, like House on the Prairie kind of. One of the major things that I saw was ultimate natural love and acceptance, unconditional. You know, is what I would describe it to my kids one day.
I love you so much, all you guys. I ain't had that much wind. I didn't have that much wind when I was your age.
I do now.
This is where we had to come and catch the bus.
Like how he used to play with his friends and how the way he had to walk and where he used to live.
We managed, you know, after church. We come down here, we got all of us get out of our clothes. But the thing was, see, that's a long walk. Yeah, we had to go down there, change clothes, and come back. Okay? Because all the other kids came from Ripon. Yeah. So, go down there and come back, and we'd play, and they call us in to eat again. And it was about the fifth meal we had that day. You know, eat like horses. Eat like we had never had nothing to eat before. You know. It was almost like mandatory. Because now if you didn't eat, there's something wrong with you. You call up Miss Edna and tell her, you need to look at so-and-so because he ain't eating right.
Because like now is like, oh, nothing's like wrong. But when he goes to West Virginia, he's probably thinking this is where I like was living if he lived there. Like this is what I was living when I was a kid. I had to like walk to go to the bus stop, and probably memories.
I like being here. I just feel homely and warm being here. I feel fulfilled being here. There ain't nothing going on, but I just feel good being here. You know, more so than I would in Connecticut or North Carolina. The grandchildren, they come and run all over the place like little Indians and ask questions, and you answer them as best you can where they will understand it.
At Grandpa Roosevelt's house, we were very active. He made sure that we were, you know, always out doing something. So whether we were walking to the park to play basketball, we were racing each other in the street, we were building snow castles in the yard. Like we had plenty of space and opportunity to go do a lot of things. So we kind of ventured the neighborhood. Grandpa Roosevelt, he was always, he was always there, and also at the same time, he was always working. So you had both, you had best of the both worlds. He was a hard worker, he was always at work, but he was also there on the weekends, and I would always try to get to his house some way or another on the weekend, even during the week, even if it was a school day, to go over there and play basketball in the driveway. Cut the lawn. He was big on the rider lawnmowers. Do other things like that. Pretty much, you go over there, if you don't have something to do with yourself, they're gonna put you to work. So
You found like it was a second family. It was really a second family. I ate there. We had chores. How many times we do the dishes? We'd hide those dirty dishes in the dishwasher that was broken, just to get them out the sink. They're still dirty. We just hide them, shut the door and lock it, and take off. We'll come back to it later. It was so much fun.
Yep, those are mud pies. And they dry out, and they get flat. And we used to pick them up and sail them. Then we decided we want to play ball. Well, you don't see no rock, nothing to make no base out of. So we take one of the dried mud pies, and we'd make a base out of it. But then there would always be a smarty that would take it and switch it and get one of them soft ones and put up there and let him run across that. What was especially good was when they was trying to slide. That was the good one. That was a good one, because he had that dookie from head to toe. And everybody would laugh. That was a cow dung. All those little humps, they dry up and they get like flat, like a plate. And they dry completely out, which they will. Summertime, they dry completely out. We pick them up and sail them, see how far we can sail them. Who could sail one the furthest and this, that, and the other, take bets on it, stuff like that. We didn't have no toys. I mean, you made do with what you had. It was something to do. On a mud puddle. That's what kids do. They ain't got no toys. That's what we did. They say, well, I can swim, I can swim, I can swim, and jump in there, don't know where they're jumping, and jump on a rock.
Got a picture of Grandpa?
Leave it to them kids to find that deer carcass. I didn't even see it.
I will tell you honestly, my first time going there, I did feel like I was like a turnip, or I felt like something. The first time I went there in the morning, because I didn't know what to expect. So I will tell you, I was worried because the first morning I was very naive, and Roosevelt said that everybody had to get up and go catch the breakfast at the river, and I said, what? We can't eat until we get. I was like, what is this?
That's for white crazy folk. We fish. Where we pulled off at first, kids? Hey, where we pulled off at first, that's where I was baptized, up there in the river.
I really thought like, oh my God, we're not gonna eat anything till like go to the river, like come home and like, I was like, oh my God, we won't be eating all day. So that kind of did scare me the first time.
And Grandpa, I think he decided to take me fishing down the street from the house. And we were in the, you had to walk back into the woods somewhere. First of all, I'm getting bit up by tons of mosquitoes. I think there were snakes going through the grass, and he just got a stick. And he got his friend across the street yelling. So you could hear his friend's voice from across, like on his porch. The house is down the street. Just good times like that, just fishing. Taking car rides, really. He really liked to get in the car and go.
You will see rocks, like where you see the swirls, like there's a rock there that's making that happen. Where you see an interruption in the flow of the water, there's rocks. Okay, the river's high now.
Okay, get in front of them. Don't worry about those stuff. Okay, go 1, 2, 3.
You come down here in the summertime, everything is wide open. That's an old bridge. This is a new bridge, train bridge. This is the Potomac. And that over there is the Shenandoah. All the little kids out, they don't have them all, but got a lot of them. And it's just nice to have them around, you know. The thing is getting in their heads where they come from and how they're able to live the way they live, rather than where I come from or my parents.
When I went to West Virginia recently, I remember seeing the John Brown statue and how he used to like free the slaves and hide them in the mountains.
They need to know about their history. They need to know how they got where they are, and they weren't always in the position they're in now, due to slavery. And that left a big impact on the country and the way things are and were leading up to now. We've come a long ways, and it hasn't always been like that. And there were a lot of people did a lot of sacrifice, lost a lot of lives, and whatever, trying to get to this point.
Harpers Ferry, John Brown Court or something like Fort, and I remember like seeing videos or pictures or something of them like fighting, and then an actual person or like an ant or something that they made, like you could see the heart beating and like the blood coming out. It was really fun.
This is the neighborhood, the black neighborhood family cemetery. You guys already seen that, I think. Some of you did anyway. They wanted to know where Grandmama was. And I told them, she's over there in the graveyard. She says, can we see her? I said, yeah, go over there. I said, you can read, can't you? She said, yeah. Go over there, you find her. Her name is Millie Green and Edna Green. And you go over there. Oh, it was 3, 4 of them, whatever. They went over there and they run around, and finally they found it. I found it, you know, it was a big ordeal. And so I was out there eating grapes or doing something in the back. And so finally they were so excited about that. They came back to the house and they were telling their mother, Mom, we seen Grandma, you know. Maybe I'm at the wrong end. That might help, huh? Because I usually just hop the fence. And this is the green plot here. I was born in 1906. Dad was born in 1902. He died in 93. They put my grandma's stone over here. That's the one I was raised with. We lived in her house. She was born in 1854. And she died in 1949. I was 7 years old when she died. And I remember her as a very solitude. She was a slave. I showed people that. They said, you gotta be, man, that's gotta be your great grandma. I said, nope, that's my grandma. We lived with her, you know.
I remember coming in late at night and being scared to go outside and go get the bags back from the car because he had had the graveyard right on the side of the house with all the great aunties, uncles, and great grandparents, the parents, and all types of stuff like that. So,
Talking about you can read, can't you? Yeah, I can read. All right, then you all right, then you go find her. You know. So they when then I found they come back, told their mother about, you did what? You went to grass. I said, hold it. Them kids are not afraid of that graveyard. All right? And there's no reason for them to be. They didn't hurt nothing and they didn't hurt them. So what point are you trying to make? And you better come out right or don't you say another word. That's what I told Lisa. You know, because you put fear in the kids about something that's stupid. You know, and like the hate, the fear, the love, that's all generated by somebody else. And that's life. And there's no sense in making somebody afraid of something because you're shaky about it. And you don't have any reason, you have nothing sound reason for that. I said, them kids went over there, they was over there playing, wrestling, and everything else. I said, ain't nothing bother them, and ain't nobody going to bother them. Found some more greens, and they wanted to know who they were. I explained it to them, so they went to tell Lisa. Y'all went where? Down the graveyard. Y'all went in the graveyard? I said, Lisa, stop. Don't even start. I said,
My name is Wayne Green. I'm the son of Roosevelt Green and Mildred Ann Jordan Green McCoy. I moved here at 6th grade. I was, I don't know how old I was back then. Living here in Plainville was totally different from New Britain. Yeah, this is my car that my dad gave me a few years back, and I was really proud of this car, and it was his favorite car. It was his favorite car, and it's a beautiful car. That's all I can say about it. Nobody else had one. It was the first person I seen to buy a Mercedes. You want to start the car? Sounds good.
Your other talents that you can speak in different dialects. Can you please give us an example of that voiceover? So let's start. Talk to me.
Sometimes you speak Jamaican, and my grandmother really like it sometimes, and I'd be like, me box your face.
Can you give us a sentence of what you say when you say something like, talk like, me boy, blah, blah. Go.
Me boy was running through the grass so fast.
When I said something to Dad back in January about Brittany getting married and who she was marrying, I knew, Wayne knew a year ago, but we didn't really say anything to anybody. And when it was actually confirmed to me by someone else, I called Dad, and as he was talking, he was saying, you know, can you please make sure to document the history? So I actually was getting overwhelmed at, okay, how do you do that? I had some ideas, I obviously write, but I was actually kind of thinking, you know, how do you actually document when it's something that's on this level, to really document it so it has some meaning? Because so often, and this has always been a pet peeve of mine, is that so often Black people tend to get written out of really great things in history. So it was my plight myself to make sure that something was written. But then when he said, can you make sure it's written? Like he said, can you make sure that you write it? And I thought, okay, write it. Okay, I can do that. But again, who will really care? Who will really, how will it matter besides, okay, it's in a book?
He asked me why you're doing this documentary on him and the family, and I told him it's about history, and a lot of times we don't get history right, and in order to get it right, somebody had to sit down and tell you about your ancestors, and a lot of times we can't go back but 1 or 2 generations.